We've been talking a lot about agility and psychology, agility and mindset, and therefore naturally it would arise, do we need to think about personality? What is the relationship between personality and agility? And indeed, is therefore agility for everyone? The simple answer is that I think yes, it is, but we do need to be aware of the different personality types so that we can help work with them and maybe manage them differently in the teams. Some people are far more comfortable with ambiguity. Others need a lot more certainty. And those, I think, are the two main differences that we find. But our daughter, Lara Barrett, she's a performance psychologist, and she explained that the most common way of looking at personalities is through OCEAN, OCEAN, and that's looking at openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. And you can get yourself assessed to find out where you sit on the continuum of each of those. And there's an interesting study which we're going to look at in just a second, which talks a little bit more about that. But it's not just this personality profiling thing that works. The one that we were first, Sue, my wife, and I were first introduced to was Personality Plus by Florence Littauer, and there we learnt to understand who was a choleric, who was a melancholy, who was a phlegmatic, and who was a sanguine. And it's interesting that our personalities evolve. We can purposefully change them, move them around, but also as we get more experience, as we get older, our personalities can actually evolve and change. Certainly, I've noticed that as I've done these tests over time, mine has been moving. It is fun. One thing we need to be careful of is that we don't use this profiling to beat each other over the head with. Many of these profiles work on the basis of a bunch of strengths and a bunch of weaknesses, and it's very easy for us to, once we find out what somebody is, let's say they're a choleric, we focus on all the negative aspects of that personality, and then, oh, you're just such a choleric or a choleric, whatever it is. We need to try and avoid that and understand what the personality means. Others you will know, maybe you've come across the colors one. I noticed that the particular colors one that I used in an organization, or that was used on us in an organization, red, blue, green, yellow, there was a direct link between that and Personality Plus. But one that I find really interesting, one that Lara recommends, is Spotlight. And the reason why this one is quite so powerful is it doesn't just look at personality, but it also looks at mindset and adaptability. And of course, our behaviors, Lara will tell us, is driven by personality and mindset and adaptability, not just one. So getting that whole focus is quite useful. So McKinsey & Co. and Scrum.org got together and did some research and produced this report. I'll put the links below. Which talks about which personalities or which personality styles and traits they have found are more likely to support agility or support an agile team. They looked at team members and they looked at product owners and did this analysis. And I thought it was quite interesting. One of the things that they found was they needed to add a sixth trait, which is handles ambiguity. This idea that we can, if we're good at handling ambiguity, we feel more comfortable in an agile environment, and we can get things done better and quicker. Now, again, as we said earlier, this isn't about beating people up. This isn't about trying to direct our hiring strategy or our firing strategy based on personality. The reason we need to understand this is so that those on our teams who are not comfortable with ambiguity can be looked after. We can help them by understanding that that is a challenge for them. We don't want their brains to be hijacked by the lack of certainty, the lack of our inability to say exactly that in 8 months' time we're going to be exactly at this point. Some of us are more relaxed about that. Some of us need that certainty. So the point about understanding that the personalities are important is to understand that we can work with each other to help each other to get the most out of agility.